champagne or rum, achieve success with Global.Media.com. Every step forward is a new beat to your drum. Achieve success with Global.Media.com. Let's celebrate it with or without champagne.
Yay, we're back again. Michael, we're back again in front of our friends, right? Look, so welcome. Of course, I know I'm a few minutes late to start. I guess it's related to our topic today. When chaos happens just before you're meant to deliver, right?
Greatness can come out of chaos.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things. Look, I suppose the context, I say, is relevant today. In that, have you noticed how for some people, Michael, chaos happens just before time to deliver, whatever that may mean, right? Let's say we have a big project to do. Let's say we have an event to do. Suddenly, your tech goes wrong. Everything starts going haywire. And so I mean, many times, when I work with people, just before a big moment in our business, in our project, suddenly the cat dies, Michael. The cat dies. They say the house burns down, the car, gets stolen by itself. And so everything just goes wrong and just keeps going wrong, right? And of course, that's what I mean by things spiraling. And of course, when that happens, the person can't deliver, they can't perform, let alone deliver. What is going on there? What is going on? How are we meant to respond in that sort of situation? I say again, it happens to all of us, right? It happens to all of us, and I'm sure I'd say, just so before this show today, I had big plans. I had it all sorted out, Michael. Finish Dr. Yvonne's show, and then let's invite him for this event, right? Lo and behold, guess what? I fell asleep, and his nap took hold. I woke up when I had literally 10 minutes before we started. I suddenly woke up and in shock. Again, like I say, on a bad day, I could easily have said, "Oh, well, it's all gone wrong. I'm not doing the show." But no, of course I'm going to do the show. I say, this is what I want to discuss today, really. Oh, Dr. Yvonne, hello, Dr. Yvonne, you're here. Yeah, and thank you for coming. Thank you for coming to support and help and share, of course, share your genius.
The protagonist, Dr. Yvonne.
Yeah, the genius. Now, I bet you haven't slept, Dr. Yvonne. I had a nap, an impromptu nap, and I didn't mean to, right?
Wow.
So
what did you do to him, Dr. Yvonne?
I didn't do anything.
Apart from your show, right? Hold on, let me welcome my friends.
That's an I'm guilty smile right there.
Dr. Yvonne's never guilty. Dr. Yvonne, she's an angel. Put it that way. That's all I'll say, right? Natalie, welcome. How are you doing, superstar? Glad you're here. Thank you as always,
Nat. You've been smitten.
Leave Dr. Yvonne alone. I mean, look, and her show earlier was good. Don't get me wrong, it was good. It was very good. So she's allowed to have that look of satisfaction, that look of happiness on her face. Of course, she always should. Why not? Who do I see? Liana, welcome. Always great to have you here, Liana. Thank you so much for joining us. Hi, everyone. Dr. Roxana. I don't think you could join us earlier, in Dr. Yvonne's show, but you're here, right? Thank you so much for being here. My friends, you're welcome to come on stage, especially if you have thoughts on this topic of ours. Why do things spiral out of control for some people? Or is it for all of us? I'm not sure, right? I think it's for all of us, to be fair. Now, the link is in the comments, so do happily join us if you want to share with us. And have your camera off on or off. It's up to you. So don't let being shy stop you. As long as we can hear you, that's the important thing. What else can I say really? Yes, no, wait, yeah, no, I'm awake. No, say, okay. Let me try this. So, Dr. Yvonne, Michael, my friends in the audience. Of course, if you're here now, make it say hello. Make a comment. Say what you join
Hello.
us. Say what you like. Say something.
I'm actually trying to figure out why my phone is not responding. I'm trying to like get off camera and just have my voice, but I don't know what's going on. Let's see.
Now it wants us to see you, Dr. Yvonne. That's what it is, right? Oh, Sean, I'm so glad you're here, Sean. I was about to send you the invite. I'm so glad you're here. Because Sean's is an amazing mindset coach. And I guess now this room is about how do you grow your business? How do you build your business, really? I guess it comes down to, like I always say, it comes down to two things. I say, of course, it's what you know. Maybe there's more than two things, but it's what you do primarily, and also is how you think, your mindset. Dr. Yvonne, now we've got two of you on stage. Which one? Should I take the one with you that we can see off the stage?
Wait, what?
There's two of you.
I don't know.
Oh, there is?
One of her is the audio, the other one is the video. So leave her
Yes.
alone.
But one was doing all right with both. So which one do you want? You can basically close one, and then the other one will still be right.
Or else you'll end up napping all day if you mess with it.
I had to leave and come back. That's probably why there's two, because my phone was not responding when I was trying to get off.
That is one of you again, Mr. Curtis. You grace us with your time again. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Now, Dr. Yvonne, there's only one of you now, so you're fine, right? Oh, so Sean says, I ditched mindset coach for inner potential activator. I struck identity disruptor. Oh, yeah, interesting. I mean, I think when I've had a conversation I haven't with before, Michael, where you think mindset coach, a mindset is just is a wrong word for what we're talking about. And I'm saying that I think there's something there, Sean, when it is about activating your inner potential. That's what mindset really is, right? Now we'll talk about mind flow, mind. I forget what you called it, Michael. But mindset you thought was a bit too restrictive and suggests it's a static state, right?
Mind frame.
Fixed state. Mind frame.
Mind frame. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not a good way of looking at it, right? But Sean, I said that I like your new way of describing what you do, like inner potential activator. I said this is about activating our inner potential, really. I guess this is what I've learned in business. I spent years doing. I thought I was in a happy place, so the good things I wanted should and did come to me, I'm sure. And the problem is, I think in business you get to a point like almost like hit the wall where nothing you do works. You can't move forward, and it feels like you're sort of stuck in a doom loop. That's my new way of describing it. Essentially, it's like groundhog, where one day you get a customer, the next day you lose a customer, so you're back to square one again. And each time when you gain a customer, you think, I'm rich, I've got this, it's all going great. When you lose that customer, you think, I'm broke, I'm bankrupt, I'm done. Like I always say, neither of those two things are true. Alas, we have to learn to live with them. But it's where we stay, until we work out what mindset really is. That's my understanding. That's my experience of life, really. Hello, Topiloba. How are you doing? Glad you're here. I just muted you for a second. You got some background noise. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm happy now. You know, so I didn't know what was going to happen. So I never know what's going to happen at these events. I never know who's going to show up. So I'm always grateful to all of you for gracing us with your time, your expertise, your insights, your genius. That's what I call it, right? I'm truly grateful. Yeah. So let's start the conversation. That we might leave here within reason on time today. Like I say, there's this strange thing that happens in life, my friends. This strange weirdism where just before a big deliverable, whatever that may be, that may be an event, that may be, a meeting you have to attend, it may be a project you have to complete and hand in, it may be client work you have to do. Have you noticed that for some people, life always spirals. Life becomes just a disaster of negative experiences. My cat died, my house burnt down, my car walked away. My car stole itself. This went wrong, that went wrong, and as soon as they start with one thing goes wrong, everything else around them goes wrong as well. See, I don't think it's a rare experience. I think it happens to most of us. I think it happened at least at this experience where things begin to go wrong, just happen at the most crucial moments in our work, usually, right? So the end result when these things happen is simply that we can't continue, we can't deliver. Look, I can add many things to what goes wrong. I say, health goes wrong, and suddenly, that sort of destroys someone's ability to deliver, to perform, right? Why do these negative spirals happen to us? What's really happening? How do we deal with them? How do we move forward? Can we move forward? I was talking about what's the word? Look, just calm down. Any things go wrong for people. Learn to understand. Learn to be more chilled. Don't be so hard on people. Let them have self-care. Let them have more flexibility. Is that the answer, or is something deeper going on here when life spirals? I'd love to know your thoughts. Yes, that's my conversation today, really. Okay, I've set the scene. I'm sure I will add to my scene setting as time goes on. Mr. Calm, now so your name tells us a lot about you. So now share with us, my friend. What's your take? Now, what are we to do, right? What's really happening,
When
Michael?
when life spirals out
Yeah,
of
no, so
control.
make sure you speak louder, though. Speak louder.
I am speaking loud. Well,
Yeah, excellent.
when life spirals out of control, it's like you lost your grounding.
Mm.
You know, you feel like as if you're taking off and you're in the air. And some of you might like it, might actually love it. Kind of like a leaf being blown helter skelter, just at the whim of the wind, is where you go. If you're a type of person who loves to be in control of wherever you're going or navigating, it's never going to happen because the wind is stronger than you. And unfortunately, it's like life. Life takes its own, has its own whims, and it's going to take you for a ride. There are reasons why it does that. Everybody's just trying to figure out why does that happen every once in a while. Why, what are the sort of things that happen in order for that to happen, for things like that to happen? What is it that I've done wrong? You know, and you try to, most of the time you try and blame yourself. Um, but some of the times you just say, man, it's the gods. It's just out of control. It's things that it's the spirits, it's the gods, it's the metaphysical world. It's all these things that you cannot explain away, but they're having some sort of important interference in your life. And you know The reason we probably do that is because we read the Bible and we've read all those stories about, that guy who got swallowed by the whale, and he thought he was in control of his life, but yeah, imagine that he gets swallowed by a fish and then he gets spat out on a beach where he doesn't even know where he's at. But he's been taken for a ride, a huge ride. I don't even know how he survived it, but somehow he did. Um, but it's things like that for me, when I actually come down to think about it, I'm a little bit more scientific, a little bit more realistic. Um, I do believe that you're out of controls because you never took the correct measurements, you never read the correct signs, you never actually sat down and pursued, um, managed yourself and your environment in such a manner that these things would not happen. You can quite literally control yourself and the direction that you head to, that you're heading out to, onto. You can't control others for sure, but you can, in some way or manner, get to a point where you can manipulate them in order to do the things that you want them to do. Kind of like narcissists do quite a bit, but a lot of not just narcissists, but actually, you can actually think that there's been a lot of narcissists in the Church of England too. Heck, a hell lot of them. But that's a subject for another day.
So Mr.
But that's
Calm.
that's 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 pretty much what I'm talking about. But you
Yeah.
can control it. It's not that you can't. And these things, yeah, they do happen. But just like I said before, you can control it so long as you keep your mind and your environment and yourself under
Mm.
control.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
No,
just under control, but you also need to be aware of what's actually going on out there.
I hear
Not be
you.
delirious about things. Be
Mm.
aware. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
No, thank you. I mean, it's again when I thought of the topic, I thought it's not worth talking about. And I thought, no, it's worth talking about. So I don't know what's happening, as you say, Michael. Many things could be happening. So I do want some sort of understanding. I see, of course, some amazing comments already. So my friend Gladys is here. Welcome, Gladys. So glad to see you. I don't know. You came on stage yesterday, but you didn't get to speak. So hopefully you will get to speak today. Hopefully, you come on in the studio. My friends, the link to join the studio is there, right? So Gladys says having problems trying to connect with StreamYard on my computer. Not tech savvy at all. My phone screen is too small. I understand. You're here. That's important thing, Gladys. That's important thing. Gladys is a Nutri specialist. So she works with products that can help us to regenerate our energy stores, our mitochondria, and our cells. If all that sounds a bit much to you, then connect with her and find out what she's talking about. There's many other things that Gladys does as well. My foster mother was called Gladys, so I just love the name, right? It's what it is. Thanks so much for joining us, Gladys. Thank you. Sean says, I'm a strong believer that people have amazing, infinite potential inside them. It's just blocked. I'm also on a mission to kill growth myths. Yes, Sean. That's what inner potential is, right? And I wonder how our perception of our inner potential leads to what we're talking about today, Sean, in terms of things just going out of control, things going wrong, at the most inopportune time. As inopportune for us, for me, as a contractor, inopportune time for me as a project lead for my client's work. But is it such a bad thing that suddenly people spiral and their life just goes haywire? I wonder. Dr. Yvonne, what's your take? Why do things spiral for some people?
my thought for this, like every now and then, especially like if you're a boss, you have a lot to do and a lot of people are depending on you. To have like that strong times and find yourself in the fetal position.
Ah,
Believe it, it's normal. It's normal when you're changing charge power. Um, and it doesn't necessarily mean that only high powered people go through that. I mean, no, if you're handling and juggling a lot in life, you know, you're going to have those crash and burn days. And the way you handle that is you go through it and you give yourself grace. Give yourself some grace because no one's perfect, no situation is perfect, um, and it will never be. And so if you allow the normalcies in your life, you know, then one of those normalcies will be some days you get overwhelmed. Now, when you talk about spiraling out of control like your entire life, then obviously, you have some issues that you have to deal with. And maybe when you hit rock bottom, you'll begin to bounce back when you're honest with yourself. But you should never beat yourself up if every now and then you have to curl up in the fetal position and sob, because that's actually cleansing, it's cathartic. And if that's what's going on and it's saying to you, I need to do this right now, don't fight it. Allow it to flow. And with the flow of tears and everything else, guess what? You get to wash that away and start anew. Nothing wrong with that.
I accept when I met all your points, Dr. Yvonne, of course. There's many things Dr. Yvonne said there which resonate with me. In that, of course, things will happen. That's the thing. That things will happen in life. Yes, we have to understand. If I guess if it's a repeated, if it's repeated experiences of the same spiral, of the same crash, I'll call it that, Dr. Yvonne. I think what do we have to look at it and think and ask what is going on as I'm doing today, or do we just accept it's life? So no, I do accept your point also that this is just life, right? Then the question becomes how do we deal with it? Is it as bad as we think? I see Sean's comments. Sean says life doesn't randomly spiral. Spirals right before a breakthrough. I see it as an identity threshold. I tell you, Sean, that's golden. That is the point today. I think if we see it from the way you describe it, Sean, then there's many things that we can take from it. So we take from it that this is not life spiral. This is not life going wrong. When I say it's spirals, I think when we tell ourselves everything's wrong, is emotional, is a negative emotional connotation. I think that becomes our problem, where we let this reality that Dr. Yvonne talked about, this normal flow of life, hold us back. Now suddenly, Sean, we'll start saying to ourselves, I can't do it, whatever it is, right? I can't do it because I think deep down, Sean, I think it's down to who we think we are, our identity, our self-talk. And that comes down to, and all those come down to a good few things, right? So I'll talk about things like focus. This is a conversation about how do we focus and stay on track? Who do we tell ourselves we are? Because I think when those who experience life spiraling, they have a conversation with themselves that says, my life is terrible. Everything is wrong. Once we sink into that abyss, I think we're in trouble. Yeah, so I love that, Sean. So Natalie says, "Oh, Natalie, you're beating me up on this one." Okay, there are there are too many reasons why you may perceive that yours or others' life is spiraling. I would recommend that we all focus inwards before poking holes at others' lives. This should provide more balance and a more realistic outlook. You can't control everything or everyone. Open your arms to the law of averages in relation to humanity. Yeah, yeah, look, I can't stand here, Natalie, and say don't have compassion for others. But I think there's a big issue going on, Natalie. That this is what I think I've realized. No, this is what I've learned. If I was that person for whom life spirals frequently, I could not do what I do. I could not do events. I could not build a business. I could not do anything. I could not do what I need to do. You know, and so when I approached this, I started this topic along the line of what is really going on in my life for things to spiral that I don't deliver that project. That's what I started off from. And I guess I'm always into self-awareness. Michael mentioned it earlier, and that's reflection. What is really going on in my life, and how do I avoid the damage? And maybe the real damage is, first of all, we fall off track. We literally can't complete or deliver our project. I don't want that happening to me when I too often. I don't want that happen to me at all. But of course, it happens every so often. Every so often being once in a very rare while. Sure, I see you. Welcome, my friend. And I don't want this happening to me. Of course, I see my friends, some of my friends also. And it's not all my friends. Let me say that. When I do my events, Michael, Mr. Calm always turns up. Always. I said, that is him. He doesn't say my life has spiraled out of control any. I'm having a bad day. Everything's gone wrong. He doesn't say that. He shows up. I want to be that person too. That's why I think we need to really understand what is going on here. Yeah. So Liana says bad things happen in threes. They do. Dr. Yvonne believes that for sure. If the third time when Dr. Yvonne says, "Okay, I'll deal with it," of course she did deal with things before as well, right?
Sean, you see that? You see that, Sean?
What's that?
Where is Cyrus when you need him?
I'm
Danny
sure,
just admitted he wants to be like calm. He wants
yeah,
to be like me.
that's you. Yes, Michael. The
Where is
one
Cyrus when you need him?
always turns up, always delivers, Michael. That's you. You're the postman. That's what I say to you, right? Tracy, welcome, welcome, welcome. If I've missed anyone, I will get to you, I'm sure, long before we finish our show today. So, Safe, I see you as well. Thank you so much. That's what Rosanna says. We need to limit information overload. Yes. No, I know. Look, we can go down this self-care road, but let me say this straight away: it doesn't work because the people for whom spiraling happens, they go into such a negativity hole that nothing brings them back. This is what I find. Maybe I'm wrong. If someone tell me I'm wrong, I'll listen and learn a lesson, right? But Safe, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And let's talk to Tobiloba. Tobiloba, talk to me, and then we can hear what Sean has come to share with us. I can't wait for Sean to share either. Tobiloba, feel free, please. Unmute. I've muted you, I think. Okay, how are you doing?
Yeah, good to be here again with great minds that we have on here tonight. Wow. Um, I could just simply tell us that where we are today is as a result of who we think about ourselves, is as a result of what we believe can happen to our life, right? The Bible made us to understand that the way man thinks in his heart, so he is. What you think is what you attract, right? And we need to understand something. that our life is as beautiful as the way we think it's going to be. Our life is walking in direction of who we think we are or what we think we want to achieve. Do you understand? So that is what's happened with life. That's what happened about life. So we need to understand that any cannot change your life. It cannot change my life. It cannot change anything about anybody here, but only the things you believe about yourself. There's this scenario in the Bible where Jesus Christ was walking on the water, and then Peter saw him. He was just like, wow, you're walking on the water. Can I come to join you? So, as much as Peter believed that he could walk on water, he was going towards Jesus Christ. He was walking on the water. But the moment he doubted, even the Almighty Jesus that has the power, that has the strength and everything, could not save him, could not help him to walk on the water. So it has to do with his belief system. So literally, when we are encountered or when we are faced with life challenges, when we are faced with struggles, with problems and all of those stuff, we need to realize that we cannot achieve anything outside what we believe. We cannot change our life outside what we believe. It has to still work on what we believe. It has to work based on what we believe about life, about what is happening around us. So no matter how difficult it may seem to be, if you don't believe life is going to change or work out for you, definitely it's not going to work out. Let the weak says I'm strong. Let people going through life, bad things, adversity, knows that they have the energy to become better. So it's as a result of what you think, is as a result of how you see the situation. I don't think anything is as bad as it is, and I would just say it's as bad as how we see it. No matter what is happening, when you don't see it in much negative way, when you don't see it bad, and then you feel like you can always get over it, you can work out, you can work it out, definitely it's going to work out because it has to do with you, it has to do with your belief. So it's very, very important that we all focus on what is in our mind. There's also another, Bible, another verse that makes us to understand that you should guard your heart with all tenacity because that's where it comes the issue of your life. So I use Bible as my reference all the time because um, all I need to focus on the right thing is right there, right? That's one of the reasons I make use of that all the time. Guard your heart with all tenacity, with all strength. That's where it comes the issue of your life. So if your mind is not intact, if it's not working right, definitely your life is not going to work right. Nothing is going to work in your life. So you have to focus even when things interrupt your life, just like the way we are discussing now, when situation interrupt your life. The only way to stay on track, the only strategy you can use to take on track is to make sure that your mindset is intact. So know who you are and believe in yourself. Believe that you have that strength, right? I'm going to yield the mic. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. You said many of the things that I think and believe. I think you know we have to stay focused. I agree with you. It's how we frame things. You know, things always go wrong, and I can't stop it. I can't fix it. That's just a doom loop that's a spiral. That's a spiral right there, right? Because everything that happens gets framed in that negative viewpoint. It's getting worse, and it's getting worse. Natalie, I see what you. Of course, I see what you're saying, Natalie. It doesn't. Of course, it happen. It can happen to me too, Natalie. There'll be days that I try and do an event and my computer doesn't work. If I choose to say to myself, nothing ever works. Oh, now my dog is ill. Oh, now, I didn't get paid. Oh, that client. It's easy to go down the spiral, the negativity route. But I think Tobiloba, I mean, you say it very well when you say, we can bring ourselves out of it based on what we're supposed to. I think all of us have the dead cat syndrome. Dr. Yvonne, I'll come back to you in a second. All of us have the dead cat syndrome. The dead cat syndrome is when everything's happening and you look over there, it's a dead cat. Oh, no, I can't do what I was meant to be doing over there, right? Because you're looking over there. I'm saying, it doesn't help us. We need to become more resilient, more focused, more determined, and believe in ourselves more. No, I truly agree with you, Topolo, but hopefully now we'll make the points long before we leave today, right? Dr. Yvonne, were you going to say something?
I was, but now I forgot my point. You said something that I was like, oh man, yeah, you're right. And I forgot. So if it's important, it'll come back. But what was it again? It'll come back to me. But when you said something and I was like, Jesus, that's exactly it. I mean, you hit it, but I can't remember. So I'll be quiet for now. I don't remember. Can't hear you, Annie.
My bad. Sure, that's how's Guatemala doing today? How are you?
Oh, I remember. Sorry.
Oh, go for it. Go back.
Mindset. The gentleman that was just speaking, and he was talking about if your mind is basically not aligned, then everything is going to go wrong. Here's the thing. You know that your words have power. And if you believe and speak negative things over your life, guess what? That's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's just like if you don't believe in your relationship or you don't believe that you're going to keep your job, you're going to talk yourself out of those things. You have to be present, and you have to change your mind from the negative. And that means grounding yourself. That means, putting work into yourself. But what he said, he made an extreme point, and then you backed it up too, Annie. Mindset is more than half the war. If you put your mind to anything at all, guess what? You can create it. If right now we're on the phone, right? A few years ago, this wouldn't have been possible, but it started in somebody's mind. And then they put it on paper, they drew it out, and then they did a prototype, and then boom, it's in production, and here it is. Mindset is everything. And be careful of the words you speak. If you speak negative things over yourself, that's exactly what's going to happen. But if you speak positive, guess what? That's exactly what's going to happen. So mindset is more than half the battle.
I love that, Dr. Yvonne. It's true. I think it's true. That this is why I asked myself the question, because I think it's we have a choice to make, my friends. That's what I believe truly. Like I said, rather than looking over there, rather than thinking, we think many things to get to this spiral. I can't. It always goes wrong. Why me? Why always me? I could carry on. So there's many things I would think that down that line doesn't help us at all. I see you, Ijoma. Welcome. Make sure your mindset is still intact. Stay focused. So true, right? So true. I don't know who I lost. No, Tabaloba's still here. I think I've lost Mr. Calm. He'll come back, I'm sure. So I do see you. And superstar Lisa, welcome, welcome as well. Menopause specialist. Lisa does amazing posts, by the way. If you haven't, connect with her and go and look at some of her posts. I actually learned something is from her. So I don't learn anything. I don't learn anything from most people's posts, but Lisa's, they're educational. I'm into trying to keep healthy at this midlife, right? I'm 50, so 51 soon. Was that a week and a half? Yeah, thereabouts. But that's all I'm going to say about my birthday. You're never going to hear me mention it ever again. And I shan't be here on my birthday either. You're not going to see me, right? Anyway, welcome, Lisa. Sean, talk to me, my friend. How are you doing? You're on mute. Yeah, so please paint a picture for us and help us really understand what's going on.
Well, first, I want to answer your question of how things are in Guatemala.
Yeah, please.
A song comes to my mind, an old 50s song. Whole lot of shaking going on.
Really? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I wonder.
Well, yesterday I was in a call and I started getting motion sickness because the earth was like going like this. It was like I've been drinking and I haven't touched alcohol in years.
Damn.
But we're okay. The world is shaking, but we're still standing strong.
You're here. You're here, my friend. So that means the world is fine, right?
Yes.
So
right. As I was saying, the spiral is a threshold of our identity. And this happens a lot with high performers, high achievers. We're grind, trying to achieve and do and do and do and do and do. And we often experience chaos right at the brink of expansion. Sometimes, many times, that's self-initiated chaos. You were talking about my name, and Michael's not here, but I see Cyrus made it. He's not on stage, but he's here. Better late than never. The spiral comes from the identity that we're operating from hasn't caught up with the external ambition, the dream of who we believe we're going to become.
Yeah.
Gay Hendricks in the book The Big Leap, he called this the upper limit problem. Right? We're getting to the top of we're hitting our ceiling, basically. We're trying to go above the ceiling of the identity we're living in, and so chaos ensues. And what happens is our nervous system actually shifts into that survival mode, right? The fight, flight, freeze, fawn. And this has been shown by multiple, you have to get regulated first. You can't meet the challenge in the midst of the storm. Are you still there, Ernie?
I'm thinking, of course, I'm still here.
Because all I see is me, and I was like, "Wait, am I still connected?"
That's what the world sees, Sean. Is you, right? No, it's I suppose. Look, I could extend what you're saying. I don't know whether it's an extension, whether it's a reframe, right? No. Here's what I'm taking from what you're saying, which is simply that before we become our new better selves, the universe, maybe it's, the gods, call it what you like, right? Almost reorganizes our life to be that person that we want to be, right? So sometimes it can look like chaos when suddenly people disappear. They get moved from our lives. Things change. Changes happen, and then I say we can either look at those changes as a disaster. Oh, this always happens to me. Things always go wrong. Or we can look at those things as this is a positive step.
Right.
It's
It's
not.
all about the frame. It's all
Yeah,
about the frame. Do you see
and
it as like, why me? Or, okay, what are we here to learn?
mm, no, I hear you. I hear you totally. Coach Asif, always a genius, says, well, I have this comment. His comments there. No, it's not that one. It's this one. It says, "What we resist persists. What we accept dissolves." So again, I take that to mean, Sean, that we can just accept what is and deal with those situations. Rather than focus on the negative things or the things that are changing, focus on the goal. Focus on what we have to deliver. Focus on what we have to do, rather than being sidetracked and suddenly being in this terrible loop. What say you?
Well, and just like Tobaloba was talking about, he talked about when Peter was walking on water, and I shared some of these in the comments, that commonly we've been told it was Peter's doubt. But I would say it wasn't his doubt. It was he took, like, he thought he was here he is, he's violating the laws of physics. He's walking on water, and then he's like, "Oh, how am I doing this?" He took his focus off the source. Right? Like Ashif's comment, I've always heard it this way. Energy flows where focus goes. So as you said, if you're focusing on why me, or it's so bad, or the world's going to end tomorrow, or whatever, guess where the energy is going to go? And you're going to get more of it. As Ashif said, what you resist persists. But if you look at it and say, okay, here's the situation. Now what are we going to do? And stay connected to your source.
Yeah. And part of that is, I guess, part of that is what we believe about ourselves, as Tabaloba said, and everyone said so far. I think. See, but I say I think. Here's my confusion. Here's one of the things that baffles me about this topic, my friends. It's not about ability, because some geniuses crash regularly. So the most capable people crash mentally, and you're like, damn, how did that happen? And of course, like I said, I talk from a perspective, especially as a contractor of people, and so when people keep crashing, you're like, I can't rely on you. But some of the most able people can literally go on a spiral, and they do it very often. And so it's not ability. It's pure. This is why I say it's purely mindset. It's in their mind. It's what goes on in their heads. It's not even what's going on around them. As you were saying, Sean, we can, yes, let things spiral, let things go wrong, let things happen around you. But we have to park that somewhere on the left, right? And then focus on the goal, the prize, whatever that, however you want to describe. Right. Focus on Sarah said it yesterday very, very well. Now focus on the main thing, because the main thing, don't think something else is the main thing. The main thing is the main thing. Just focus on that, right? But isn't that a choice thing?
Yeah, keep your focus on the right thing and not the storm.
Yeah, and all the dead
storms will come. That's life.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Look, why don't so what stops? Maybe it's awareness. I can see where this may go, right? People don't know, hence the conversation today. Hopefully, more people will be aware. And I'm certainly more aware of the topic, because I've done reading around it to turn up today and to say that's my topic, right? And I suppose there's many things that is behind our ability to focus and also to stay on track. Dr. Yvonne mentioned something I think is really important. Alignment. Alignment being belief. Thinking alone is not enough. This is the point of my conversation today. You can't just think your way to success and to a mindset. Thinking is one thing, part one. The other thing is really, I guess, feeling, belief. what do you really understand now about you and how the world works? And then that leads to action, right? So it is thinking, feeling, action. I think we must truly learn to believe something about ourselves. Again, Tabaloba mentioned it, but you're saying it as well, Sean. In that we have to truly believe that we are capable, we can, and we do. I don't give up when things go wrong. I carry on. I always deliver. A different way of thinking about the same thing, right? And do you really believe that? So even those who believe that they can't, those who believe that this always happens to them, negative view is the way. Those who believe that this always happens to me, I can't stop it, and the world really is ending around me, end up down one road.
Right. Yeah, like Dr. Yvonne said, this always happens to me. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
Because as you said, our thoughts, our feelings dictate our behavior. And with the awareness piece, Annie, I would say for most people, 80 to 90% of their behavior is on autopilot. It's running on subconscious programs.
That's it.
It has everything to do with your self-talk. It really does. I mean, it's powerful when we say stupid things to ourselves, or we own what somebody else has put on us, and we say, "Okay, yeah, that's true," knowing that that's not us. Self-talk can be very crippling. We have to work on that, and part of that is grounding. Part of that is keeping your energy pure. All of those things play into how we perceive ourselves, how we speak to ourselves, and how we allow other people to approach us, talk to us, and treat us. So, yeah, it can be a self-fulfilling prophecy if you always say negative things about yourself. Yeah, I believe that.
Right. And
That's
we actually
that's right.
we actually are teaching, we're actually teaching others to treat us that way, because look at the way we treat ourselves.
And that just compounds the problem, right? It just compounds our situation. Go on top of that.
There is this thing that you may mention now, Sean, and Dr. Ivan. The truth of the matter is that we want to accept what's going on around us. Me, I love to use Bible this thing. There's a verse that says that we should not be conformed, like don't be conformed by the things of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewal of your mind. Meaning that we cannot basically, if we focus on what is happening around us, a 1,000 will fall by your right hand, another 10,000 by your left side, but they will not come near you. Meaning that it is not your reality. Why? Because one of the problem why we are in trouble, or we find ourselves in many other people's shoes, is because we first of all we say like, okay, these shoes could be our side, meaning that the problem that we are seeing, the problem that the person is going through, we feel like it's our problem. We feel like the fact that we are living in the same place, or we're in the same world, we're in the same environment, this what this person is going through, I have to be going through it. No. The moment you hear them say that, oh, this is what is wrong with me, we just be like, oh, the world is bad. I never tell them when people say that I'm broke, things is not working well. I don't be like the world is tight right now. No, 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 no. I wouldn't use such a word to me. And another thing is that
Three, two, one. Okay. I guess I was hoping we'll be straight back. I'm sure he will come back in a second. Once to realize his device was frozen. But look, there's a point that I think Tabaloba was making there. Again, I take it from where I sit. I can't afford to let people's experiences, maybe call it that. Now, let's say someone comes to me, and one of my contractors says, "Oh no, things are spiraling. I can't do it." I can't say, okay, I'm not going to do it either. See, I have to find a way to get it done regardless, right? Because I can't, I can't afford to let someone else's energy or lack of, you know, or maybe self-doubt, maybe lack of self-belief, lack of wanting to do, become my reality. That's an important point, and I suppose there's always a question in my mind. What do we do? How do we change the situation? Before I come to you, Dr. Yvonne and Sean, and let me welcome Dr. Henry. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're here, Henry. Thank you so much for being here. So Natalie says, I know who I am. It is down to who you are and who you say you are, Natalie. I'm a badass, diversity abled, intersectional goddess, designed with an image of our shared creator. I'm a badass global professional who can be street or be boardroom. I'm the alpha wolf, my indigenous heritage spirit wolf. Hear me. Howl. I'm not howling, Natalie. I'm not howling, but I get the idea. And I think, it's, some people don't, they have a different idea of who they are. And maybe they don't see it half the time, Natalie. But I think who we say we are becomes of us. We become who we say we are. That's the long and short of it, right? It's been said a few times today. I choose to see myself as a person who always does, who always delivers. And maybe there's so that Sean and Dr. Yvonne, I think there's an element of fear, of self-doubt that leads to these spiraling situations. And I said, no matter how able the person may be, and it was mentioned earlier by probably all of you, if you doubt that you're that person who's going to deliver this project, you're almost doomed. I think if you fear that maybe you can't, maybe it's going to go wrong, you're essentially inviting the spiral, and anything that suddenly does not fit, even if nothing happens, Sean, they still have a breakdown. This is what does me in. I know what I'm trying to say. There's just some people who I fear, and sometimes it's not even spoken. It's just like you say, it's an autopilot that runs inside our heads. And then suddenly, all you start noticing is the things that are going wrong, but most of them are not even important, Sean. How does this work? Go on, Sean. I'll let you go first, and I'll come to Dr. Yvonne.
This is the way I see it, Annie. That self-doubt is like poking holes in your boat and go, oh no, it's sinking. What happened? Because we're operating in that old identity. We've got to update the identity. As I said, as we talked about, you're operating from old programs, old OS that says, if I do this, it'll do this, that'll happen, da 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 da. We got to erase it, erase the hard drive and start again and focus on, like you said, Annie, you said you do it. Even if a contractor bags on you, you press on. That voice, we often think that self-doubt, it's like internally we're saying, oh, it's protecting me from failure. I don't want to fail. Let's flip it. What if it's your voice telling you, rise up because you're going to the next level? Get ready.
Amazing, Sean. This is why now when I was planning this, I thought Sean must come on stage. Lucky me, Sean has come on stage. Good for me, right? It's those sorts of insights, Sean. I think that's where half the answer lies. We have to learn to flip, really how we think of situations and how we think of ourselves as well. I think, but it's of course, it's a big ask, Sean and Dr. Yvonne, to say, I want to reframe. I want to think differently. I think that's where this issue starts. Really, I'm not that person. I think that once you accept you're that person, I think you're in trouble. Of course, you can change, but I think your identity, like your title as well, Sean. It is about who are you deep down? Who really are you? Because that's where we need to make the change. Some people in the audience might be thinking, just change your circumstance, give them time, give them a break. No, it's not about a break. That's not going to help. It's a fundamental mindset shift that we have to make to really begin to tackle this issue and help like our friends and I guess our colleagues. If you're an employer, to actually move them forward. It's not being kind and generous and my son said, and I said yesterday, he's like, how about you ease off from them? I'm like, what? He goes, well, people are gonna go crazy if they think there's so much pressure. But it's so if you ease off from that, don't have objectives, don't have goals. He's 16, so he's allowed to think crazy thoughts. So that's why I was like, yeah, thanks, son. Really good. No, I'm not going to ease off on them. The standards are still the same, Sean. They're still the same. They haven't changed. The goal is still the same. So I think we need. I saw that. I read somewhere that we do our best at the edge of our competence. It was fitting what you're saying, Sean. We're trying. Just when we're about to become a better version of ourselves, it's when we have our crisis. But that is where we learn the most. So don't make it. What's that saying? Don't wish for it to be easier. Aim to be better. That's half the answer. It's not for me to change the standards, my friends. It's for, I guess, listen. When I'm about to fall into the abyss, it's for me to stop the fall and find a way to understand what's going on in my mind, first of all, and then also become a better person, become more resilient, become more focused by paying attention to the right things. It's a thought. Tobiloba, we lost you. He suddenly froze. I'm glad you're back, though. Thank you so much for coming back. Have I welcomed Cyrus? Mr. Calm, Cyrus is here. Happy birthday in advance. I'm ignoring that, Cyrus. I'm ignoring that. It's fine. Imagine being 51. That's what I'm going to be. But I'll get over it. I'll get over it. Thank you, Cyrus. Let me not be ignorant about my upcoming birthday. Why me? Try me, say Cyrus. I love that. That's a reframe in itself, right? And then and so we push on, we push through. So Tobiloba, you didn't finish, so please finish what you were saying. Actually, you made some great points, so carry on.
Yeah, so we want to accept every person, like other people's reality, things that is not our reality. Just because I know you now, right? I know you, and then you're talking about your son, what your son is talking about now. Then that's how people just perceive. Like they now want to be like they want to accept the responsibility which is not there. The problem, which was not even in there, is not part of the problem they're supposed to be fighting, they're supposed to have. But consciously or unconsciously, they call it into their life. So imagine a friend telling you that things is not working now, I'm having issue with my rent, there is no money, my job is down. And then the response you're giving is just like, oh, yeah, things are really down now, things is not working out. Right? It's definitely not going to work for you too, because that's what you believe. But if you believe otherwise, that it's going to work for you. And one thing I realized is that the moment you believe that thing is working out for you, you begin to see possibility on how to make that thing a reality. You begin to see opportunities that allow you to change your life. Then there are things that will be feasible to you. It's only when you make that convention, that when you confess that things is working out for you, things is working in your direction, it will be feasible to you. Until then, you just keep on accepting other people's reality, which is never yours, because people surround you, right? And I was just making reference to where Bible verse makes us to understand that we should not be conformed by the things of this world, but should be transformed by the renewing of our mind. Meaning that we should live outside and inside out, not outside in. So what we see today is that a lot of people live outside out instead of inside out. So what is in your mind is what should create what is in the reality. It's not like what you see should be the one creating what is in your mind. Yes, I know it's very difficult when you are surrounded with negative people and everything and you're trying to be positive. But the moment you start to be positive, you begin to attract them. You begin to attract the right person, the right mindset, you begin to know the right thing to do, you begin to see the right opportunity. So I feel like if you can focus on this, we definitely achieve a whole lot. We believe so many things going to work for us. So, that's what I wanted to keep in.
Yeah, no, thank you, thank you. I'm so glad you came back as well. I think look, I love quotes, by the way. So if anyone's got any good quotes, let me know. Don't be shy. Just send them to me individually or together. I don't really care. I'm gonna write a book of quotes, and the explanation. The one you just said to topple over, which is somewhere down on my list on my screen, but I'll get over it. Right, I'll find it somewhere. Oh, Coach Ashif, you're a gem. You are. Coach Ashif says, "A fool prays for an easier road. A wise man prays for stronger legs." That is so true, right? It is whether we choose to see disaster, whether we choose to see opportunity. I think that, like you say, when we see opportunity, then suddenly we see things that are there to help us. If we choose to see disaster, then everything goes wrong, right? And that's what same circumstance, same situation, same reality, but different perspectives. So Natalie says, observation and reflection. Oftentimes, perspectives are derived from experiences mixed with expectations. Just do your best. I agree, Natalie. I agree. You can do no more than this. Exactly that. Stop worrying about what ifs. If this is not something you are paid to do, or if it's not, contextually relevant to you and your family, don't necessarily overwhelm yourself. Life will already overwhelm periodically. I agree with you totally. These instances give us a chance to learn and grow. I tell you, Natalie, that's the long and short of it. What we're trying to say today, I think that sums it up very well, right? So many people will. I see them like they're like, do you know what a whirling dervish is, Sean? A whirling dervish, it's like a toy that spins around crazily. Sometimes it's organized spin, but still, it's just a spin. It's a dancing move, right?
I don't think it's ever organized, Annie. I think the organization that you're talking about is because you're the one who actually made it spin. Otherwise, whatever happens, happens. And it's just, it drives everybody nuts.
True. No, I think that I had a toy, a Wally Dervish toy. And so now you put this winder through it, and then you pull it, and then it does its spins, and you're like, I thought it was controlled, Michael, but I agree with you. It probably wasn't controlled at all, right?
Everybody is seeing it going crazy, and then they ask the question: is it being controlled, or is it the only person that says it's being controlled is you? So it's kind of like, hey, that thing is out of control. But it's very interesting that you actually say that, because people actually live like that, right?
Yeah.
They say they love the chaos in their life, and they'll tell you that it's under control.
Yeah, look, I think you're right, Michael. I think there's an illusion of control for a bit, until the moment they choose to look at the dead cat rather than what they have to do, right? You know,
All
this, you
these
know,
all these wars that we get into. That's what is that? That is what controlled chaos, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
According
There's
to the generals.
control chaos. I like that. Now, Cyrus, I do see what you say. You know, it's a good reframe. So I think Natalie says, "AQ broken foot, tired. Great though. That's you, Nat. See, now you are the alpha wolf that you mentioned. You are, Natalie. You know, but Natalie does ask a question. Let me welcome Sharon Rose first before I go to Natalie's question. Welcome, Sharon Rose, a great believer, and you know, great.
I got a question for you, Annie. When you're ready.
God,
When is your birthday?
I'm not telling you.
You know, when someone when a guest asks you a question, Mr. Host, you should answer the question.
Oh, the only thing I don't respond to, the only thing I'm not, the only thing I don't,
I mean, what are you afraid of, really?
in truth, I'll tell you
In
what
truth.
I'm afraid of. I'll tell you what I'm afraid of. All the happy birthday messages. I don't need them. I'm fine. I've had 51. I've had 50 of them. I don't need another year of happy birthdays. If you promise me that you will not send me a happy birthday message, I'll tell you the date. That's all of you here, not just one of you, right? If you're you know, because you know, as well as you, my friends sending me happy birthday messages, there's randoms who do the same thing. And I'm just like, no, don't do it. I'm gonna wake up on my birthday, Michael. By the time I go sleep on my birthday, I'll have 100 and 200 messages from random people I've never met, never spoken to, never I don't even know, and they all come up, plug up on my emails, my inbox on here. I'm in trouble. I just rather not have any of it. No thanks. It's fine.
Well, get ready for the random chaos.
I refuse. If I don't tell you, and if I don't show up on the day, I'm fine. You know,
I
look,
guess this is why you're having this show.
Even if
Natalie
you
has,
don't show LinkedIn wouldn't agree.
yeah,
LinkedIn,
LinkedIn.
my
I'm not, I'm not,
God,
I'm not sure if I lied to LinkedIn. I might have lied. You know, I do tend to lie to the platforms about my birthday. I give them a different date.
so you're going to receive thousands of it, and you're good, whether
Yeah.
you want or not.
Yes, but Annie, what do all those messages mean to you?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Not
So
what.
what's
Nothing.
the big deal? What's the big deal?
Right.
I have to share this. 51. I turned.
I have to respond to them. If I don't have to respond now, see if I don't show up on the day, Sean, I don't respond to any of them. I just literally, you know, on highlight them. They're red. They're red. They're red.
Who told you you have to respond to them on that day?
I don't want to respond ever. No one did it. It's courtesy, my friends. It's courtesy. Sure,
It's courtesy, but take your time. You know,
Yeah.
my social media lights up, and this year is a momentous year for me. My father died at 57.
Wow.
I turned 57 this year. Now,
That is definitely momentous.
I could choose to dwell on that and get all caught up like, oh my God, I'm living on borrowed time. People, I'm here to tell you, I plan to live to 95. I'm going to outdo my dad, my mom, my grandfather who lived to 92 with all his mental faculty until that day that he breathed his last breath. That's who I'm going to be.
Amen, my friend.
They're going to put me in that box kicking and screaming like, no, I'm not ready yet.
You know.
Okay, Sean.
But I have to talk to you about when you said the whirling dervish, and then you started talking about toys. I'm like, wait, what? Because what I was thinking of is the 13th century Sunni mystics related to the poet Rumi, who Ashif quoted. They were doing a type of meditation. This was about spinning and trying to get a deeper connection to source, to shed the small ego and embrace the bigger self.
Who were they, Sean? Can you repeat that? Repeat that.
So they were Sufi mystics in the 13th century. And they were spinning to obtain a deeper connection with source, with the divine, to shed the ego that, you know, they, even the dress, they wore specific dress. And here's the interesting thing, scientifically, if you spin enough, your ego gives in. It's like, forget it, I'm out of here, man, I can't do this. So it's really interesting. Yeah, when he said whirling dervish, I'm like, and he's talking about toys, I'm like, what? What's he talking about? Like, these are ancient mystics that were, this was like meditation. This was killing the little self so that the higher self, larger self could emerge.
Wow.
Deep, deep indeed. You know, but that's why Sean knows more than I'm not a mindset coach. I'm not anywhere near, I'm not even a philosopher. You know, I literally I learn and then I learn. That's what I can do. Sure.
Sean, are you sure it was not the other way around? You know, and when I say the other way around, I mean the other way around in terms of killing the big self in order for the little self to show.
Well, that's why I kind of qualified the higher self, not the, when we're talking about the big self,
Okay.
I'm not talking about the big arrogant ego. I'm talking about our true nature, like the ultimate top of the consciousness ladder, we'll say.
Okay, so we're talking about the inside, you know, like if you're like to burrow into yourself, you're basically burrowing deep, and you're finding that particular gem, that whatever it is that's in there, the gem buried real deep inside there that you want to get out. Obviously,
Right.
all the rest of you that is outside of that gem is basically just fluff. But what and that's the one that's always consistently and constantly being exposed and shown outside of the world. But what really, really deep innate within you, that's what you're looking for, isn't it? That's what you mean, right?
Right. It's as Sharon put it, you know, shaking off all the physical limitations and connecting with our purest essence.
Okay. And do they do this upside down?
No, Michael. They can't do upside down. Let me show you what a whirling dervish looks like.
Have you actually seen the night dancers? Night dancers there's a story that they used to tell me, which used to give me nightmares. Night dancers do that upside down. They walk upside down. They do not walk on their legs. They walk on their hands and their heads. That's how they walk. 3 toes, or 3 ligaments.
Oh, you know, this toy that I had.
Sean, and that's what Sean has gotten into when he's talking about these people that spin. I'm like,
no,
the
look,
only you spin like that is you put your head down and then you literally spin, and you can actually do that. People, breakdancing comes out of that.
Yes. You know, look, when I was a kid, I told you about the toy I had, and the toy, it was a toy. You know, it's I don't know what it was. It wasn't Yoda or something like that. I used to spin like a good one. You know, I could say many things, but let me just leave it there, right? Let me show you one in dervish video that's on YouTube. For those who are wondering, what are they going on about? You know, and they say it is a dance for the gods. Sure, I didn't know that until now. Until you started talking about this. So here goes. Let me show you quickly. Screen share. Screen share. Can I get YouTube? Yeah. Let's have a look. You can see the screen, right?
Yeah, right. I can see it.
You've seen a world in depth. You thought you're gonna see that today in my show. I'm sure you didn't, right?
Now, here's the interesting connection, Annie. Your topic was about spiral, right? We run, we avoid the spiral. What if the spiral, the spin, is exactly what we need to shake off all the junk?
The things that don't help us, the people that don't help us, the situations that we don't need, that don't help us move forward, right?
Yeah, so Sean is saying it's not actually chaos.
Yeah. Now look again. Look, Sean is expressing a perspective. I think we can take when it comes to things spiraling out of control. And I think that's why I look at what Sean's saying. It is an approach we can have. Rather than seeing the spiraling things around us as a negative thing, we see it as a rebirth almost. I say the transformation to our next selves, our better selves. That's the way I tend to look. That's why I want to look at these situations that happen. But again, the issue is that many people don't look at it that way, Michael. They see negativity, which, as Toboloba explained, means they attract negativity. And then now they're in an abyss of negativity. It's a weird thing, right? But I'm looking at Natalie's question, which I think is probably our question of the day, really. We've got a few minutes left. I don't want to keep anyone too long today. Natalie says, how can you focus on your goals and stay on track if you're busy wondering what if and what are they doing? I wonder what you think, gentlemen. What say you? How do we stay focused on our goals and stay on track? When when life is spiraling. Maybe think of you, but also think of what you would say to your staff, your team, your colleagues, your collaborator partners, whatever you want to call it. What's your how do we stay focused, Sean? I could always go to one of the others first, but Calm is unmuted, set up below. So, Mr. Calm, what do you think? What say you? What can we do to reduce the damage of the spiral and stay on track?
Remain focused. Be like water. When you throw a stone into water, it ripples. You disturb it. That's like you're injecting chaos. But if inevitably, eventually, all those ripples go away, and then they stop, and then the water becomes calm again. Be like water. Navigate through the ripples or something like that. Navigate through the problems.
Yeah. Look, of course I like that. Again, I will stick to the water bit about flow. I think that's part of my thinking. It's about getting into our state of flow. For the state of flow is Sean, if I explain it badly, don't beat me. Just tell me where I've gone wrong, right? State of flow, I'm sure it's a Taoist thing, right? Where essentially we do things. It's not easy, but we do it almost without resistance. We do it with ease, and when we're in that state of flow, we do it. We're faster, we're better, and almost nothing stops us, right? We get stuff done. But it's about getting in that flow, that state of flow, which is the optimal place we need to be to perform our best. Sean, is that even close?
Well, I had 5 identity shifts or identity anchors.
Please go for them.
To navigate the spiral. Asking a question at the beginning, like name the pattern. What part of me does this chaos, is it trying to resurrect? Patterns, as I said, often we're operating from unconscious automatic programs. And those patterns are embedded in there and they like to stay invisible. They don't like to be brought into the light. When we aware, it breaks the loop. Second, anchor to the identity standard. Who do I choose to be, even in this? And act from that place rather than emotion. You might be afraid, you might be sad, you might be angry. Don't operate from the emotion. Let go of the emotion. Process it, run it, but make decisions from your identity. Shrink the decision window is number 3. Don't try to fix your life. Figure out the next 15 minutes. Those micro decisions help us restore power when everything else feels too big. Number 4, this is my favorite part. Let your environment catch you. If your world is spiraling, get in a space that mirrors who you're becoming. Right? Community isn't a luxury. It's, Jim Rohn said it, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So are you in the right rooms? Are you in the right groups? Let them be help pull you back when you're spiraling. Or, you talked about the water and the flow, a stick floating down the river. If it gets stuck, it doesn't fight and go, oh, how am I going to get unstuck? No, it just needs a little nudge and it continues on. Be the stick.
I like that.
Number 5 comes from my old military days. One of the things they taught us in boot camp is you've got your backup plan. Like if everything goes to hell, what are you going to do? You have a plan before you're in the chaos.
Yeah.
If I end up in this chaos, what can I do? What's a 15-minute bounce back protocol? You kept saying dead count, and I keep dead cat. I keep thinking about the dead cat bounce.
Which same thing, right? That's a problem in itself. I love that, Sean.
So it's not really a dead cat. It hasn't really lost all its 9 lives.
No. It's an illusion. It's a delusion. That's what it is, really. It's a attention grabber that just disrupts and distracts from the real thing, the main thing, as Sarah's calls it. So right. Sure, I love that. If anyone missed any of that, go and watch a replay on my YouTube, right? Really. I think those are the gems, sure. Those are so everyone you say, I think, is hugely important. The backup plan, Sean, is one that I think it's one that we have to address, I think, for all of us, right? And that's for not just us. I think the person for whom life spirals. I think I don't think we all always think of the backup plan. Our backup plan is normally crisis management. It's like I say, when it happens to me, I'm like, okay, damn, I got to do this myself. Maybe get someone else to do it. I'm saying, but it's not always set in stone. But I want to come back to the idea of planning itself. Sure. and the reality that maybe it's also partly the cause of the spiral. And it's simply this reality that many people don't really think about. Is that thing called the planning paradox. Everything we plan will take longer than we plan for. It will cost more than we plan for. It will take more effort than we plan. Bear that in mind. Everything, not some things. This is a human condition. You can plan all you like, but your plan is always gonna go a bit derailed. It's gonna change. It's gonna have to evolve somehow. Again, the whole idea of planning, Sean, that we're told if we have a plan, then we'll stick to it rigidly. And then so
And
when
that's the problem. We got to be more fluid.
I agree, back to
Like
Michael's.
have a goal, right? Not I must do this. Like, okay, when this happened, if A, then B. Simple programming, right? I don't have to. I don't have to get caught up in the exact details. If A, then B.
Yep.
Because you're right. And not only that, but information overload that was mentioned at the beginning, right? We get caught up in the planning. Oh, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Again, I say that don't be that person. Is what we say, right? This is when my son's thing about ease up towards the end comes into its own. I'm not saying ease up on the quality or the standards. I'm saying ease up on maybe the how. Be flexible of mind to realize the how may have to change. It may have to be adapted somehow. If something happens, go on, Sean.
There's an old, I think it's an old Chinese proverb. I actually call it the ninth beatitude, right? The Bible has the beatitudes. Blessed is if you know the Bible at all. Blessed is the flexible man, for he will never be bent out of shape.
Ooh. Sean, put that in the comments, please. Please put that in the comments. That way I can go and copy it later on. This.
So, Sean, we can call that man Bender, right?
Michael. In the UK, you can't call someone a bender. That just
Sean will agree with me. I can call that man Bender.
As long as you have good intentions behind the use of the term, it's fine.
I always have good intentions.
In British, in British slang, the UK slang, especially Cockney slang, that's something entirely different. You're accusing someone of something and talking about the sexuality. But I'll leave
I know,
that.
that's why it's so funny and so weird.
I'm trying to be, what's the word, moderate and nice about things. I hear you, Michael. Sharon Rose, yes. Now this issue is about victimhood and someone feeling disempowered. Why always me? This always happens to me, and then I can't change it. All I can do is fall into the doom of my reality, which is not really my reality, right? Coach Ashley says, let go of doubt, embrace faith. Totally agree with you, my friend. Totally agree with you. I say, Sharon Rose, you're a genius. Mind right, vessel tight, spirit bright. Oh, if you see all of this in my book, my friends, don't hate me. I will come to you anyway before I go using your points. And I said, that's genius, Sharon Rose. So thank you so much. There's many more good comments, but no. So Michael and Calm and Tobiloba, how do we get people to focus? Coach Sean's given us five steps. I wonder what your strategies are. I don't mind who goes there.
That question is for Topolova, right?
It's for both of you.
I already gave you mine.
Okay, Tobiloba, we'll come to you then, my friend. What's your strategy for helping us to avoid or negate the impact of this negative spiral?
Number one, we need to figure out and believe that we are not in this alone. I hope you agree with me that one of the reasons why problem persists and we see it as like a big deal is when we are the only one going through the problem. Because I remember back then in secondary school, if all of us get into trouble, I don't really get afraid, right? I'm not really afraid. We're in this together, we're in this trouble together, so we're going to pay the price together. So I really don't get afraid. So I think that has to do with life because there's nothing you are going through that somebody else has not gone through it before. So it's 57, you're going to be 51, or somebody who is not 25 like me should not be like, oh, this thing that is happening now is the end of my life, or this that is happening now, I'm not going to come out of it. No, never. So you have to believe like what is happening to you has really happened to every other person before. You just have to find peace, just like the way Sean said the other time, that don't try to fix 15 years of our time. When hope can be developed, right? But faith is nothing. Like just have faith in yourself. It has to do with the present situation. It has to do with the present situation. You don't have any business with what is coming up tomorrow or what is coming up in the next 1 hour or 30 minutes. You don't have an idea of what is coming. And you don't have to really, really get worked up. So most times, why we are afraid is actually fear of unknown. And when we are afraid of what we don't know, it eventually will bring it to reality. So we need to believe that we are not in this alone. Many other person has been through this phase of life and they overcame the situation, and me too, I'm going to overcome. And then we
Yeah.
always think that we own ourselves all the time. We always think like this one is about us all the time, is about our life all the time. But really, there's a higher power, something that is bigger than us. You can seek guidance. It could be through prayer, through your friend, through a gathering like this. Bring your concerns, share about it with people, right? And then also you need to renew your mind, just like the way I said the other time. You have to renew your mind. Focus on your truths, or let me say on God's truths and promises. So rather than getting caught up in negative thoughts, focus on the positive thought. Focus on the positive thing. Because the moment you begin to talk about the goodness, somehow one way or the other, energy begin to come. You begin to have strength. Your strength, your faith begin to build. And that way, and you know that joy is a feature. You need to be happy first. Sorry, you need to have the spirit of joy because happiness is based on happening. Joy is a spirit, right? Happiness is based on happening. So if something do not happen in your life, you are not going to be happy. But joy is a spirit. It have no reasons for you to be joyful. There's no big reasons. Just like you just have to have joy because all things is still working out for your good at the end of the day. And please don't be anxious of nothing, but in every situation by prayer. And prayer in this context could simply means that fellowship, the people you fellowship with, communication in this context, and petition like is communication with thanksgiving by remembering all those things that's happened to you before. Then make what you have, what you need, make it known to yourself. Write it on paper and say it to yourself. I remember my old place, the old place I was living in January when I got there. I wrote some things in paper, I printed it out, I pasted it on the wall. I'm happy and grateful that I'm working towards my goal, that things is working out for my good. I'm happy that I find myself in a good environment. I'm in a good place now, right? I'm working fine. Things is now working out for my good. And when I was about leaving on Monday, leaving that room behind because I went to pack my loads, we leaving it behind and I look at it. And one of my friends was with me. And I was telling him, do you know that almost all of this thing I wrote in the paper has come to reality? So you need to learn how to redirect your thoughts and renew your mind and focus on what is happening within you, not outside of you. Unless you will attract negative things, and negative things is going to bed, negative thoughts is going to bed negative things. So positivity, optimism is one of the goals, one of the way to achieve more. You know, you all know better than I do, right? You know better and you agree and you even share more than what I am saying. So I feel like we can focus on this. We never can tell how powerful we could be and how much we could be able to achieve.
No, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much. It seems like you all knew about this long before I did, right? Long before I have. So I'll take it. I'll take it. So I love to learn from people, and I'm learning from all of you. Thank you so much. I mean that sincerely. Sharon Rose says consciousness is crucial. I guess that's the same as self-awareness, right? Now, self-awareness, who we are, what we think, how we feel. Sean said, name the pattern for sure. Now, Tobloba talks about, I guess the same question that we've all asked. Who are you really? Who do you tell yourself? Who do we tell ourselves we are? I think that's also important. I think you also mentioned the fear. So this is down to fear. I really believe this is down to anxiety, fear, call it what you like, right? Just as Joe must say, the fear of the unknown is a major obstacle. Believe and stay focused, even when you're tired, even when you fail, rest a bit and regroup and bounce back. Totally agree with you. So we can, Sharon says, we can have compassion without entanglement, for sure. Don't get entangled. I try not to get entangled in people's problem. I can't afford to get entangled in people's problem. I haven't got time. Otherwise, I will be, I'll be in the same spiral as Tobloba said. I don't want to go there at all. I guess to give you some of the things I've learned. It's everything that Sean has said and that Tobloba said and Michael said. The books do say, find your flow. Make that your main priority. Tobloba, I think your mention of about finding joy. Joy is not a thing that happens to us. It's a choice. And really, so the people for whom life tends to spiral, I guess the thing really is that they don't have joy in their life. They live in a state of anxiety almost always. So when things are going wrong, well, I guess they're more attentive. Their antennas are more tuned into the things that are going wrong, rather than things that might be going right. But I think if we have joy, we are more balanced. And maybe people talk about energy. You have the right energy, the right vibration, right frequency. One to overcome, but also to achieve, right? To do whatever you have to do, right? So Coach Ashif says it's not the load that breaks you; it's the way you carry it. Again, if we have joy, we can do a lot more because we're in a better mind space. I'll say that for sure, right? The Sharon Rose says access the super consciousness instead of the subconscious. The subconscious is there, Sharon Rose. We can't do anything about it, right? This is one of our problems in the sense that our subconscious guides everything. Whereas, we want to think that we guide everything by our thoughts. Alas, the subconscious always wins. So if deep in our heart we don't really believe in ourselves, Sharon Rose, don't really trust ourselves, we have that fear, that doubt. Even if we don't tell ourselves, I'm scared. It's a word before the scared, but it's all right. Right, I shall swear. Our subconscious knows. If we doubt, if we fear, if we let me try another couple. I wonder what you think, Sean and Mr. Khan. See, so here's what I've learned. All the things you've said, Sean, all the things Tobloba said, all the things Michael said, they're all there, right? See, but the thing I've learned that keeps you grounded the most is number one, personal organization. In other words, be the person who always delivers. Be the person who tells themselves, I never fail. I don't let people down. I'm not one to apologize to my clients. If something goes wrong, I will fix it. You see, that is part, and I'm not going to fix it to rubbish standards. I'm going to fix it to a high standard, right? Then that's why I have to tell myself. That's why I have to believe I am. Otherwise, I have no business running a company. I have no business trying to grow a business because I can't be delivering substandard performance and services and so on and so forth. When things go wrong. I can take it, right? But I know deep down, I've given my all. I've given my best performance because I'm the person who always delivers. See, but to say that, I think, Sean, we need something called mastery. True belief that we're the masters of our craft. I can't fix a problem because someone doesn't turn up, someone doesn't show up, unless I have developed my skills. In other words, keep learning. Learn, get better. We mentioned this earlier. I have to get better to make sure that I can cover myself. I can cover everything in my business. You may say I'm mad, but no, but that is how I think. I have to get better. And see, I've said it many a time. I would happily be an employee in my business and have someone else run the business, because I think the craftsman's mentality is so important to me. Being able to do and create new solutions is central to who I am. So I love to do stuff. Yeah, of course, it means I have a problem delegating half the time, but how? But that craftsman mentality is what guides me. I think we all need that craftsman's mentality. The craftsman, I'm sure you know, that you start off as an apprentice, then you learn the tricks of the trade, become a master of the trade, rather than being like Jack. I'm sure that, how does the saying go? Jack is a master of none, right? He can do a bit of everything, but he's not naturally a master of anything. I think let's be a master of something, or the things that matter in our business, especially. It sounds like a lot, because now you're going to tell me I employ people to do that. Alas, the only way I can defend myself and protect myself against things spiraling is simply that I'm a master of something, and over time, I'm a master of more and more things. I like doing all of them? Of course I don't. But the things I like doing, I will do, and I try to delegate. I will do it. But Paul mentioned the plan B earlier. And I think that's crucial. As a business owner, you have to have a backup plan for everything. Sometimes that backup plan is you have to get your hand dirty and get it done. Many managers, many leaders will tell you they do exactly that. So I want Sean. I wonder what you think, man, Mr. Calm. I'm going to come to you as well, my friend.
I totally agree. You have to put the focus, as Leslie put it, deep focused practice. In Arabic they say "Ittikra yalim al shutar." The clever person learns through repetition. Or the way I've heard it in English is repetition is the mother of learning. You have to do it and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it, even though you're like, oh, I already learned this. I'm dealing with this with my son. Mastery is so important. Master yourself, master one thing, then go to the next thing. If you want to add a second level or a third level. I love the quote by Bruce Lee. He says, I am not afraid of the man who's practiced 10,000 kicks once. I am afraid of the man who's practiced one kick 10,000 times.
That's a master right there, right? That is that is superb. No, at least I'm on the right tracks, Sean. I'm learning something. Yes, I love to learn, of course. Now, Mr. Calm, what say you? What do you want to add, my friend? Mr. Calm, have we lost you?
Can you
No,
hear me?
we can now.
All right, that's awesome. I'm actually thinking of a different problem, but something that you just mentioned. We're in the age of the AI, so I don't see any reason why that you can't make yourself your AI the CEO of your company, and then you can go do whatever it is that you want to do. Just train the AI to be your CEO. Simple as that.
I like.
And that is my solution because I believe in dealing with a negative spiral by invoking a positive spiral.
Yeah.
And thus, I create a balance.
I like that, Michael. And AI agents can be in many forms, right?
Yes,
You
sir.
know, I'm thinking of things like Monday.com. There's other brands out there, by the way, my friend. And that's how I advertise that one. I'm just saying that's one I know. Motion's another one, where the AI organizes your day, literally your week, your month. It tells you where you have to be and when you have to be, and if something goes wrong, it will change. This the plan, the schedule. You're just literally, it will reorganize your day right in front of you. Now, I wonder if that's what Sharon Rose was talking about tonight. That's against the greater consciousness. I wonder. That's because I know
I'd
what.
say that it's worth exploring.
Yes, I agree with that for sure. It's definitely worth exploring. But keeping on track that has to be the goal. Now, focus on the things. Sean, I want to go to your comments. But I am. I'll let you explain it rather than me try and read it out. Let me get to Sharon Rose calls it super consciousness. I think I, I take that to mean there's a truth regardless. That so that there is a version of reality that is, and we must live on that plane. Our subconscious is still there. And she says our ego lives in the mind, not heart and gut. It is what's going on in your heart that's really going on here, right? And the ego, I can accept that it's an ego thing when things spiral. Because like I say, I think it's people acting out of fear, out of anxiety, out of not enough knowledge, maybe. They talk the talk, but can't walk the walk. Is what I mean. So when it comes to delivery time, then suddenly they have a blow up. That's why I don't want to be. For sure. Sean, please explain your comment if you don't mind. Just let us know what you're trying to say.
So I'm big on identity. I did a later comment about your self-concept. It's your thermostat. It's who you believe you are. It's who you want to be. This is a snippet from my Sean Michael manifesto. It's a document that I've created that is my reminder. This is who I'm here to be. As it says, I'm not here to compete. I'm here to wake the sleeping giants, starting with this one right here. I will not shrink to make others comfortable. I will not wear success like armor or grind like its penance. I will lead from alignment, not ego. And I will burn every false identity that tells me I have to prove my worth to earn my place. This is a document that I worked on and I read regularly as a reminder of who I am, what is the path I'm on, who I want to be.
That's brilliant. Again, I think that it is keeping that. That's how Rose says, keeping that optimistic inner dialogue. Which if you call it identity, sure. Keeping that positive identity, that growth identity, growth mindset. Call it what you like. It's all the same thing, right? And then make sure that we are speaking growth into ourselves and working to be better. That's what we said, right? But thank you so much, Sean. And I say, you're a star. I'm so glad you came on stage. I really am. Mr. Ashif, I'm going to nick your quote. If a fool's prayer is for an easier road, where else we can do better, right? I'm hurrying through because I think I will need to go. So Natalie says, who are any of us to judge another? We're not judging another. We're judging ourselves primarily, Natalie. And also, I guess, the actions of others affect you when you run a business. That's a reality. So again, some of the things we talked about today, having a backup plan, developing mastery, maybe not focusing all your eggs in one basket. It's also important. Don't put all your expectations on one person, especially where there's been previous for spiraling and non-delivery. It was silly to rely on someone for whom things go wrong, right? Which, again, just saying that, they put me in a room with anyone here, and I will find those flaws you say you see in others. No, mirror in you and I. Your ego speaks the truth. Your deeds speak of integrity. Look, now we can have conversation that without necessarily accusing anyone. There's no one that's necessarily accusing. Except I don't think I pay any of you, and none of you work for me in that sense, right? It is. I think it's a fundamental issue. That to me, it's a personal issue because it's I've seen it many times as a business owner, and when I realized it is a mindset topic. It's not what I thought it was. I thought it was, oh well, they just unlucky. Life goes wrong for them. It's not. It's a choice, and we can reframe the situation. We can literally ignore the things that look like they're going wrong for all the reasons we've said today. Sean's explained it beautifully, right? I said that taking that belief that this is God's way of giving me my new self, my better self. That's one thing that never crossed my mind until I started doing reading around this. So don't take it as something personal against anyone. Of course, there's no one that we can aim at all, right? It is just a conversation we're having about an important topic for us entrepreneurs. Sharon Rose says that we will know his astrological sign and analyze it. Some do, right? Some do. The astrology is used in many ways, not just it's not just about predicting what someone might do or feel like tomorrow. Some people use astrology almost like a science. And I don't know if you know how that works, come and share it with us one day. And I'd love to see whether it really does work, right? Sharon Rose says similar to shaking it off, do a somatic reset. Yes. So again, don't we're not being mean and saying by not saying stop everything. Let's look at the dead cat. No, that's not the answer, and that's never the answer. The dead cat's not the problem. The focus is a problem. Our self-talk is a problem. Who we are is a problem. What we think of ourselves, what we think about the main thing. That's the problem. It's not. It's not the dead cat. It's not the chaos. That's the problem. It's how we make sense of it. Sarah says your eyes and your mind can only focus on one thing at a time. The moment you take you take them off the goals, you start seeing the obstacles. So true. So well said, Cyrus. Well said. Mr. Tobiloba and Mr. Calm, I'll let you have the last word before we go today, my friends. Thank you so much, everyone that's joined us. So Tobiloba, feel free.
A whole lot has been shared by everyone. Sean, Cam, everybody has shared very wonderful stuff, and I've really learned. Just like life to tell us that we will not stop getting into trouble. We just have to realize that we not stop getting into trouble. Things will not always work out, and life is not always will not always be favorable. We just need to learn, just like the way I mentioned the other time. We just need to learn inside out, not outside in. Let's make sure our mind is stable all the time. Let's make sure that we focus on what is the right thing and what do you think is the right thing. Living right now, living to the fullest at the moment. That's what is the best. And that's what really makes sense. We can focus on that. We'll be on our way to achieving more and become a better person at the end of the day. Help God help you, help me, and every one of us. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be
Thank you.
here and hopefully to learn from you once again anytime soon.
Thank you, thank you. I mean that sincerely. You're one of the stars of our community, my friend. And we missed you when you were here, so I'm so glad you're back with a bang and actually adding more of your genius to our conversations. Thank you so much, Abulova. Mr. Calm, what do you want to leave us with, my friend?
Yep. I'm good. I'm glad that
Yeah?
everybody had something to say. Yep. And I'll catch up with you at a later date.
Thank you so much. No, look, thank you to all my friends in the audience. Sharon Rose, you're a gem as always. Natalie, you're a superstar. Thank you for managing our comments as always. Like, without you, I don't manage comments, I just let them flow. Coach Ashif, flow like water, and you always find your way. No, that's the idea, right? Thank you so much. Sean, you're a legend, my friend. If you want to add anything else, Sean, let me know. Saying thank you for all you've added to our conversation today. And of course, I think that I want to have the conversation about what's more important. I think I know the answer, but I know an answer. I wonder what your idea is: process or the goal, the prize or the process. What do we focus on? Interesting. I find it interesting. I think I'd love to know what your thoughts are at the time, right? Hey, Joma, I see you. To stay focused, set achievable goals for yourself, believe in yourself, make informed decisions, and follow through. Always have a contingency plan. That's a summary right there, right? That's a summary of conversation. For anyone who missed a conversation, please go and watch the replay. So I will go through the comments and respond to everyone eventually. I can't say I do it diligently enough these days, but I have so many events. I see you, Dr. Vivian. Long time, Dr. Vivian. How are you? Where have you been? Thank you, Dr. Vivian. I appreciate you. I see the superstars in the community. Dr. Vivian is definitely one of those, right? We don't say it often enough. Say Topolova. Thank you, Topolova, for this amazing takes. See? Dr. Vivian, thank you for your kindness as well. Sharon Rose says, joy is a choice. Definitely, that I will take away for sure. It's finding that joy. That's at the heart of our conversation, I think. I'm the happy person, not the one for whom it all goes wrong. Thank you so much, everyone. And Sharon Rose's gratitude is the attitude. GITA. Like gratitude and optimism over positivity. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you all. My friends, look, go in the comments yourself and do connect with each other. Welcome, Dr. Leslie. Mastery requires deep focus practice over time. I tell you. I'm gonna steal that voice if you don't mind, and I'll assign it to you as well, Dr. Leslie. Yeah, that's why I miss Sarah's Jack of all trades, master of none. You don't want to be that Jack, right? You want to be the master of something for sure. If I miss your comments, I will go and reply. So do bear with me. So as Rosemary says, this is a mindset. It's how you respond to it that matters. Exactly that. Yeah. Sean says, enjoy the process and celebrate the goal. Yes, please. Don't fall off track. Don't get into a spin, literally. A spin that's just of negativity. But stick on the process. Whatever it is, deliver as best you can. But just keep going until you get to the end and then celebrate the goal. Win, lose, or draw. At least you got to the end, right? You become the person who does rather than the one who gives up. I say thank you, everyone. So do enjoy. Of course, we're back here in 2 weeks' time. I'm celebrating Christiana's miscarriage and baby loss room tomorrow. We've moved the time to 7 p.m. That should be much more amenable to our American friends. We do want more of you there, so do come and join us as we celebrate our one year anniversary, and then we can build on our next year from there, right? Thank you so much. Enjoy, my friends. Enjoy your evening.
She's success with Global.Media.com and celebrate it with or without champagne or rum. She's success with Global.Media.